Thanks for attending.
All right, so it is 12 noon, so we're going to kick this webinar off. Sound good, Kelly? Okay. So hi, everybody. Welcome to the Food Bank of the Hudson Valley and Regional Food Banks webinar on COVID-19 nutrition and mental health. Thank you all for signing up and for being here. We're going to dive into the benefits of nutrition and how to fight off COVID-19, boost mental health, and also just some tips for you to use within your feeding programs and for yourselves. All right. So my name is Monica Sislak Morgan. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a JSY nutrition educator down at the Food Bank of the Hudson Valley. Basically, the JSY program is a nutrition education program. We talk about several different topics. Unfortunately, we're not meeting in person right now, hopefully in the nearish future, but Kristen Bopp down at Regional Food Bank, or up at Regional Food Bank, and I are both offering virtual classes, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So something to keep in mind that we can offer for you and your patrons. And then Kelly, if you'd like to introduce yourself. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll be discussing nutrition aspect of this presentation. Sorry, Kelly, go ahead.
You're good. So hi, everyone. My name is Kelly Jones. I'm an agency services coordinator for the Regional Food Bank in Latham. I am also your HipNap contact, so if you have any questions about that, feel free to shoot me an email. I will be discussing the mental health portion of this webinar coming at the end. And just so you guys know, all of this webinar is going to be recorded. We will send that out to individuals after the webinar is finished, and our PowerPoint is in the handouts if anyone would like to download that at the end. So Monica, back over to you.
Perfect, thank you. And also we're gonna be monitoring the chat. So if you have any relevant information you'd like to share or any questions, you can go ahead and enter them in there. And I'm also gonna be asking a couple poll questions. So I'm gonna be asking some multiple choice questions. You'll see them pop up on your screen. Please just engage if you're interested. If not, no pressure, no grades, no judgment, no nothing. Just a way to kind of keep us a little bit more engaged. All right, so first question, I'm going to launch the poll, so it'll pop up on your screen. So what is nutrition? So the poll is open. Okay, getting some answers. Looking good. All right, I'm going to close the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so most of you said all of the above. So the question was, what is nutrition? The answer is given. We're eating foods necessary to health and growth, the way in which we consume foods to boost our immunity, and participating in joyful movement. And all of the above. The correct answer that I put down is all of the above. And you'll see why as we go through the presentation. So nutrition impacts our immune system and mental health, which we're going to talk about a lot during this presentation. It helps to ensure that your body will fight off against COVID-19. So this is where your immunity boosting will come in, and that comes from lots of fruits and veggies, lean proteins, so on and so forth, as we'll touch on throughout the presentation. And again, the foods you eat shape your immune system's response to fighting virus. And I did throw in a little bit about joyful movement, exercise, however you'd like to call it, just because that does kind of tie into nutrition, how your body works, how your body moves, stuff like that. All right, so some reminders just to kick things off. When we talk about nutrition, I like to focus on consuming things that are good for us, fruits and veggies, fiber, lean protein, stuff like that. But it is also important to remember for you and your feeding program to limit high fat and sugar foods when possible. And to remember that underlying health conditions can lead to more severe COVID symptoms. So things like asthma and different lung conditions, type 2 diabetes, they're saying that there is a link to a little bit more severe cases of COVID, and some heart conditions, cancer, stuff like that, that will make you immunocompromised. So those are some reminders and things to keep at the front of your mind. All right, so some deterrents to eating a balanced diet and not being able to get proper nutrition, especially when it comes to the folks that we're serving and feeding programs. Some deterrents look like access. That's the biggest one, and kind of everything else on this list falls under access. So we have access, isolation, lockdown, and social distancing. So those are all of those deterrents make it really hard for folks to get out to the grocery store or even get to a store that might even have any sort of nutritious foods. They might have a hard time accessing your pantry. Maybe they can't get there. Maybe the person who takes them is sick, or they don't feel comfortable going with them. So there are so many different reasons to why folks can't access nutritious foods at this moment. So a lot of it, all of these things, isolation, lockdown, social distancing, they fall under access. The only thing they might have access to is the bodega at the corner store that maybe doesn't have any fresh produce or even any good canned produce options. So they don't have that access to nutrition at this point. All right. Next up, vitamins and supplements. So in the beginning of COVID, I was like, I'm gonna stock up on emergency. I'm gonna make sure that I am, taking supplements, make sure that I'm fighting off and keeping my immunity up. But they're actually finding that those supplements really don't have a huge impact. And most of it is going to come from the foods that you're actually consuming. So having good nutrition during this time is so important. And taking additional supplements, although it might feel like you're doing something good. And of course, if your doctor, nutritionist, or someone tells you to take those, of course, listen to their advice. But for the general public, taking those additional supplements aren't going to do what you think they're going to do. All right. Next up, I'm going to do another poll. So I'm going to launch that poll. The question is about whole grains. So whole grains, so are whole grains full of fiber and nutrients? So it's going to pop up on your screen. So let me know if this is true or false. Okay. Right, we're getting some good feedback. 73% people voted. I'm going to keep it open for 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So 96% of you agreed that whole grains are full of fiber and nutrients. 100%, they totally are. All right, so when it comes to what you should eat for boosting immunity and just a balanced diet, it's important to eat and also to keep on hand in your feeding program whole grains. Like we said, whole grains are full of fiber and other really great nutrients. They have that outer husk or hull that helps, that is full of nutrients and fiber that's really, really good for your body. Helps your blood, especially if you are type 2 diabetic. It can help blood sugar, and it can help fight off high cholesterol. So if you have high cholesterol, your doctor will likely recommend a high fiber diet and recommend whole grains especially. I'm so sorry, my dog wants to contribute. High protein foods are also really good. They are the building block to, I was just at the doctor the other day and she's like, high protein foods, especially lean proteins. They're really nutritious. They're good to keep on hand, especially now, but they're really good for just your average diet. All right, and high protein foods can look like, especially lean proteins, can look like chicken breast, canned tuna, stuff like that. Those things are very accessible. I'm so sorry about my dog. And with the whole grains, it's gonna look like brown rice, oatmeal, barley, quinoa, stuff like that. And those are super accessible as well, especially for your feeding programs. And then fruits and vegetables. We always encourage fruits and vegetables, but especially now, like I was saying, they're very high in nutrients. They have high fiber, again, back to the fiber. And they have, when it comes to fruits and veggies, in the JSY program especially, we encourage our participants to eat the rainbow, which I think is great for everybody. So when we say eat the rainbow, we try to encourage folks to have different color fruits and veggies on their plate and stocked in your feeding program if possible. I know access to fresh fruits and veggies is available at both food banks, just to throw that out there. And when eating the rainbow, back to that, it's good because each different color of fruits and veggies have different different nutrients associated with them. So that's why we tell you to eat the rainbow. All right, so in your feeding program specifically, I just want to throw out there to prioritize My Plate guidelines. So fruits, veggies, grains, protein foods, and dairy. This is really good because it'll help you to, and it kind of ties in with HIPNAP, which if you have any questions about that, Kelly can answer, but it'll help you meet your guidelines. And I think also when you, if you're looking to kind of reorganize in your food pantry, especially, prioritize or organizing things by My Plate guideline can be really helpful, because then you can just say, oh, here's my fruits, here's my veggies, here's my grains, proteins, dairy, etc. So it's kind of everything in one plate. And the My Plate website is super helpful, myplate.gov, so you can check that out. All right, and then when it comes to ordering, you want to try to stay consistent in ordering nutritious foods. Obviously, access, right? I could talk about access all day when it comes to nutritious foods, but try to keep fresh produce, whole grains like we talked about, low sodium canned goods. And I know that ordering, sometimes you're at the mercy of what's on hand, especially if you're ordering from the food bank, or if you're ordering salvage, you don't have the opportunity to see what's in the boxes, so you don't know if the canned goods that you're getting are low sodium. But if you do have the option, we always encourage you to keep low sodium canned goods on hand. And again, lean proteins. And as always, just remain empathetic to your clients. That's why you're doing this. Who knows what folks are going through, and having an empathetic ear is always super important when working with the public. And then last poll question from me. This is my last slide, and then I'm going to hand it over to Kelly. Does hydration impact your mental health? True or false? Can hydration impact mental health? True or false? This is going to segue us into our mental health aspect. All right, I'm going to close the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Awesome, yeah. All of you agree that hydration does impact mental health. Basically, when you're dehydrated, your brain just doesn't function as well. It literally becomes, I don't want to say shriveled up because that's not correct, but it does become literally smaller and doesn't function as well. You'll find when you're dehydrated, you have headaches, you have hard time hard time remembering things. I'm dehydrated, see, can't remember things. And your body just doesn't function as well, the whole mind-body connection. So those are just some things to think about. Try to stay hydrated, try to encourage folks who come in to hydrate. But yeah, so that's it from my part, thank you all for listening to me talk about nutrition. Again, any comments or questions, you can throw them in the chat, and we will have a conversation at the end. And I'm gonna switch over to Kelly. So thanks again, everybody.
All right, so I am going to do the mental health part. So if you just hang on one moment, let me get my screen here for everyone. So first off, can we see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, all right, perfect. So I also wanted to touch just on hydration. Hydration for mental health is really important. Like Monica was saying, it does impact how your brain works and how your body functions. Hydration, one of the biggest things is when you're dehydrated, you can start to have symptoms of illness. So things like headaches, fatigue, body aches, things that are related to COVID that you really don't want to be experiencing can all be linked to dehydration. So we just want to make sure that you're hydrated and that your body is working as best as it can. Okay. So some effects of isolation and social distancing on mental health. So right now we're all doing our part to stay distanced from everyone. As you can probably tell, Monica and I are working from home. So we are doing our best to stay isolated and socially distanced. However, this isn't the best for our mental health. So right now we're working on keeping our physical health up and running the way it should, but our mental health is kind of taking a hit. So some effects of that can be an increased risk of depression, accelerated mental decline for those with dementia and Alzheimer's. Sleep disruption can also lead to an increased in feelings of stress and anxiety, and increased risk of substance abuse. So the increased risk of substance abuse is more toward people who are already prone for addiction. So people who have that underlying condition, the added stress of social distancing and isolation can increase their risk for relapse or going into the full addiction. So moving more, so studies have found that the simple act of taking a walk can improve self-esteem, self-perception, mood, quality of sleep, and even reduce fatigue. So being active and getting out of your house for at least 30 minutes a day can combat feelings of loneliness and depression. Yoga is also really good for this. Focusing on your breath can help reduce anxiety and stress. For clients, yoga is great. There are a ton of free yoga videos online. You can look those up. You can do yoga for almost anything that you want, anything that you think of. There's probably a yoga video out there for it. Hold on here, just make sure. Okay. So fresh air is really important for our mental health, particularly in the winter. It's important to take to get fresh air every day and to get some sunlight every day. So fresh air can help regulate your mood and decrease anxiety. Sunlight has also been shown to release serotonin in your brain. This can also help to regulate the amount of melatonin released at night. So melatonin can help you sleep better at night. So making sure that your body is used to that cycle of sunlight during the day, serotonin during the day, and melatonin at night can help to reduce effects of social isolation on sleep disruption. So staying connected, there are a bunch of new ways to stay connected during this time. Video calls, as well as online classes, such as the JSY virtual education from the food bank. There are online religious services and digital games. So we know that not all of our clients have a way to do online connections. So there are ways for clients to connect without having internet access. So Good old-fashioned pen pals and phone calls are great for staying connected and staying social while staying socially distanced. Sharing books and videos through a little library, as well as possibly going to a public library if you feel comfortable, and socially distanced meetups for people, for 2 to 4 people, all wearing masks and staying 6 feet apart. So this can look like chatting with neighbors across the street or out of your house window, anything that can let you chat with another individual while still staying socially distanced. So routines and new activities are important for keeping our mind sharp and making sure that we're able to continue to just live in the most normal way that we can. So the biggest part of that is routines and providing normalcy for both adults and children. So this is especially important for children who are kind of thrown into a world that they don't understand right now. So sleep schedules and meal times, keeping those the same can be extremely important to our normalcy. And new hobbies. So developing new hobbies for things like puzzles, drawing, board games, gardening, baking, things that you can do by yourself, but can also have a community around it. So there are a lot of online gardening boards, a lot of online baking boards where you can learn from different recipes and different people and share what you've made. Puzzles are great for keeping your mind sharp, and drawing is always good for keeping your mind sharp, as well as those fine motor skills, especially in children. So now we're going to kind of open it up to you guys. So how have you stayed connected and active with your community and family during this time? So if you have any input you'd like to provide, please share it in the questions box or in the chat box. We'd love to hear from you, and we can talk about that as well.
Kelly, I think it's really interesting what you said about routines, because I found, like, with my family during this pandemic, like, we never had like a set dinner time, and now 6:30 every day is like dinner time. Doesn't matter if it's during the week, on the weekend. That's just, we fell into that routine just because it makes the most sense. Like, and it's nice to have that consistency. And also, I also wanted to touch on the JSY virtual class. I put it in the chat box as well with my email and Kristen's email. You can reach out to either me or Kristen. We're both offering virtual education for our JSY program through Zoom. So if you are interested in that, if you think the clients at your feeding program would be interested in something like this, it's easy, you know, folks just have to have access to a smartphone or a computer, and then they can log right on and do a quick nutrition education class with us. We try to keep it to like a half an hour-ish per lesson. So just something to think of, good way to stay connected.
Yeah, so there are some people in the chat here who have kind of shared what they're doing. Walks in the woods, which is great, with a friend, that's wonderful. Hikes with limited people in the trails, that's perfect. You know, getting out there with your family members or people who are in your COVID bubble is great.
Totally.
Weekly newsletters and texting, that's wonderful. Yeah, using technology to connect has been really great during this time.
Yes, those are all good.
Yeah. Okay.
We're so lucky to have like FaceTime and Zoom and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we have one more slide. Yep. So our next slide here is our NYS mental health hotlines. So if you have any clients that you feel could be could use these hotlines, please print them out and post them at your meal sites or at your food pantries or at your agencies. These are great resources. So the New York Project Hope emotional help support line is there. They provide free and confidential support for anyone experiencing increased anxiety due to the coronavirus. So the crisis text line is very similar to that. Anonymous text messages service for anyone experiencing mental health issues. So the SAMHSA disaster distress helpline is for anyone experiencing emotional distress related to natural or human caused disasters. The domestic violence hotline and the National Suicide Prevention Hotline are both really great services as well. So anyone that is experiencing any sort of mental health issues, please direct them to these hotlines and to other mental health providers if you are able to do so. And then we have just any questions or any other input you guys have. We'd love to hear it. We'd love for you to put it in the chat box. I might try to unmute our audience.
Yeah, definitely.
To see if that'll work.
Someone asked if the training is going to be made available to you as a recording, and yes, it will be. So we'll send this along to y'all.
All right, so I just unmuted everyone, just so you know. So it looks like you can probably unmute yourself on your laptop or your computer if you would like to speak and share anything, any questions, any other information that you want to give.
Can you go back to the last slide?
Yeah. There you go.
Thanks.
And again, this is in the handout section. So if you'd like to download, it's our entire PowerPoint. So if you want to download that, and then you can print out just this slide as well.
Hi, this is DAV Ministries. Hi, everyone.
Hey.
I cannot download that particular handout, and I did leave a message in the chat box.
Okay. So Deborah, I don't see it, but I just could be missing it.
Yeah, I don't see it either.
Oh, I see. I left you. I don't see it in there, but Deborah, I can email you that if you would like.
And I had a response. I find since prior to the pandemic, running, flying, crawling, and there's a great need, of course, as far as for food, but there's a better need as far as self-care, mental health, being able to eat right, drink right, hydrate is so important in order for us to continue on a daily basis, even if it's every day or 5 times a day, especially if you're running. With my program, we have a Building Plus. I do outreach throughout Sullivan County. And I find if I do not get that rest, if I do not stay positive, if I do not hydrate myself and just take that time to focus, it's over. So I think it's very important as far as self-care.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's really important to make sure that we're caring for ourselves as well as our communities, because I know that you guys do so much for your community, but you have to remember to take care of yourselves as well.
Yes. Yep. Can't pour from an empty cup.
Amen.
Yep. That's a really good point. Yeah, if you are able to practice any sort of self-care, it looks different to all of us. Definitely try to do it because you are doing so much for the community and it's very much appreciated, but it is good to take care of yourself if you have the privilege to do so.
I have a question. Actually, I want to say something. First, I want to thank you for what you're doing. It's very important to talk about mental health. It's a big problem now, and a lot of people, they don't talk about it. We appreciate what you're doing. Second, can you send us the video?
Absolutely.
Of course, we didn't watch it. If you can send it by email, we appreciate it. And thank you, guys.
Definitely. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Anyone else? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I just had a comment for the other pantries for ideas that we use at my pantry to kind of keep morale up. We do a bonus bag every week that's a HipNap eligible bag. So like this past week we did trail mix bags with all the nuts and the dried fruit that's available at the for USDA right now. And we switch it every 3 weeks. So we did a soup bag prior to this where people got broth and fresh veggies and everything to make their own soups at home. So it's a fun way, and our guests really love it, and they love getting their surprise new bag every couple weeks. So it helps keep their morale up, and I know me, like it keeps my morale up because I love creating the bags and I call them recipes for the bags that follow the HipNap guidelines. So just an idea for the other pantries as a way to like keep people on their toes and give them some happy surprises.
That's awesome. You can also use some of our JSY recipes. I can put the JSY website in the chat if you'd like to look at our recipes on there. We have over 200 recipes for fruits and veggies specifically too.
Yeah, that would be great. I love that.
Awesome. All right, anyone else have anything they'd like to contribute? Oh, someone says they love our recipes we have on the site. So glad. And if anyone does need any assistance putting together any sort of like recipe bags or anything, please reach out to either me or Kristen. We can help you, come up with ideas and put stuff together. All right. Well, we appreciate everyone's time today.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you all. Have a great day.
You too.